Feel good about that. We feel good about that room. And so I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about the depth that we have, and Kenny's included in that.
Kenny was mostly a starter his first 2 years. When he came here as a backup, how has he embraced that, and what has he brought to that position?
Yeah, I think just very professional, wanting to learn new things and continue to grow his game. I just think he's been great for the room.
So, Matthew, obviously a tough spot. No Jalen Hurts for championship week. And with Kenny Pickett, yes, it's the Cowboys, although the Cowboys have been much better in recent weeks. This kind of becomes a totally ugly matchup, especially with no CeeDee Lamb on the other side.
Yeah, we'll get into CeeDee Lamb here in a second, but I actually think the Dallas Cowboys defense is an interesting streamer this week. I'm in the championship of a 16-team league, so things are slim there, and the league plays with kickers and defenses, don't get me started. But I actually picked up the Cowboys defense there because I think they're an interesting streamer. I think for our purposes, what this means is like it narrows our decision tree very easily. You're still starting A.J. Brown. You're still starting Saquon Barkley. DeVonta Smith is more of a toss-up here. It's worth noting that last week when Kenny Pickett came in, and he played most of the game. He played like 3/4 of the game. 91% of his passes, 91% of Kenny Pickett's passes went to either A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith. I'm not worried about any of the secondary guys. I'm not trying to, suddenly, Grant Calcaterra suddenly becomes interesting because, backup quarterbacks like their tight end or anything like that. You're starting A.J. Brown, you're starting Saquon Barkley. And I think DeVonta Smith, personally, Smith has been so inconsistent this year. I think in my mind, if I had a more viable option, I think I would go that way. But otherwise, I think he can go ahead and start him. Pickett isn't great, but he is somebody that started in the NFL for 2 years. He's a former first-round pick. Like, as backup quarterbacks go, there is much worse out there in the NFL. I'd argue there are much worse starting quarterbacks in the NFL than Kenny Pickett, who I think is, I think he's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. It's not ideal. I think the biggest question here, Roto Pat, is what do you do if you have Jalen Hurts? Because I do think you're going to have to make a decision. I would rather go to the waiver wire and pick up some of the other guys rather than try to start Kenny Pickett if I had Jalen Hurts. I think there are better options on the waiver wire.
Absolutely. And by the way, you guys mentioned Denny earlier. He uncorked the take so bad on the Roto Football Show Thursday that he's literally fled to Canada. And that take was kind of steaming Kenny Pickett, Matthew, for some of the reasons you laid out. It was 55 minutes of game time last week, and he actually was throwing down the field. He had the highest ADOT of all of week 16, so deep targets. A.J. Brown, in addition to the production, had 75 yards of DPI penalties. So kind of weirdly aggressive from Kenny Pickett, something we did not see in Pittsburgh. So, like, if you're truly desperate in like a 16-team league like Matthew, you could maybe look into that, but I agree, Matthew. In like a 12-team standard home league, the Pickett thing is more about hopefully just stabilizing A.J. Brown and maybe DeVonta Smith. Actual streamer viability, even in a bad week for streamers, you're looking more like the dreaded Aaron Rodgers, maybe Michael Penix, which we'll get into a little later, in a game environment we're hoping is better for him than the one he was in week 16. Bryce Young was on the fence, but he's shaky now with the Adam Thielen injury, and that I think with Pickett, we can have faith that he's not going to nuke A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, but as a streamer himself, absolutely not. You're going to the wire outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the one quarterback you didn't mention there, Pat, that's available in more than 50% of Yahoo leagues that I think is interesting as a streamer is Drake May of the New England Patriots.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.